Hello everyone and welcome to our Masterclass product session with Martin Wittmann. Today the topic will be Meridian Module. Webinar will be translated in Turkish language. If you want, you can choose it. It's a live translation. And we have also the wordly translation. You can find the link in the chat box. So now I will hand over to Martin. Hello, Martin.
Hello.
Hey, so it's your turn.
Yes, thank you. So let's share my screen. It's a little crowded here on my screen right now, but give me a second. Okay. Here we go. So today we have a quite extensive topic, and that's the Analyze module for the meridians. So the HealAdvisor Analyse Meridian Module is basically Asian knowledge, by state-of-the-art Healy technology. So powered by state-of-the-art Healy technology. So we really try to get a lot of very valuable knowledge in a very modern setting, and that's of course our Analyze app. So let's start. So first we have a notice and a disclaimer, and then we immediately start with the Meridian teachings. So the Meridian teachings are, of course, a central element of traditional Chinese medicine. So we all know that traditional Chinese medicine is very, very old, so a few thousand years old, and contains a lot of knowledge about herbs and their positive effects on the humans, on human emotions, on human body functions, and so on. And meridians are, of course, a kind of energy pathway. So you can also measure those meridians and also the acupuncture points on the meridians, because there's a different resistance on the skin. So those are really, usually parts of the body where there's more flowing, because usually if you have less resistance, then there's a better, what do you call it, way that things flow through from a current point of view also. So I mean, current is also a form of energy. So this is just a way to see that there is really more flowing, also from a very physical point of view. And of course, qi, as it's called, or the Chinese call it, is the life energy. And that's what they say, it's flowing through it. So we know with our physical measurements, there's even more things flowing. It's not some, let's say, esoteric energy. There are really things flowing. So what do we have there? So we have what we already had is qi. It's the vital energy of life circulating in all living beings. So that's the definition from a Chinese point of view. And of course, if this flow of energy, in whatever way energy, if it's physical energy, if it's, let's say, not so, physically measurable energy, it always leads to imbalances. So if this flow of energy is blocked, there's an imbalance that you will most likely experience. And there you also have, of course, yin and yang. And they represent balance. So yin stands for cold, passivity, and darkness, which is usually associated with something negative. So when it's cold, passive, and dark, then it's not so good. And yang stands for warmth, activity, and light. But actually, both, and warmth, of course, and activity and light are more something associated with something positive. But both are basically the same medal, just different sides. So the meridians are, according to the Chinese system, of course, there are 12 meridians, and they are arranged in mirror image on both sides of the body. So each one is connected to certain emotions, mental states, organs, and functional circuits in the body. So every acupuncture point has a certain, let's say, meaning in the body. So everything somehow is connected. And of course, if you influence those acupuncture points, those meridians, you can also influence the rest of our systems, of our emotions. And of course, each meridian is also designated according to its yin or yang aspect. So determining also the direction of the energy flow. So yin meridians run along inside the body, and yang meridians run along outside the body. So this is also a very, very important fact. So the yin meridians are lung, heart, pericardium, spleen, pancreas, kidney, and liver. And the yang meridians are large intestine, small intestine, gallbladder, bladder, stomach, and triple heater. So there, of course, are a lot of practical applications of the meridian teachings. So there are several applications that are thousands of years old, and there are also some that are existing for a short amount of time. So acupuncture, everyone knows, you have a few needles, you insert them at specific points along the meridians, the acupuncture points, and you leave them there for 20 to 30 minutes. Then you have acupressure. So you have the similar acupuncture points, but now you do not use needles, you apply manual pressure. And you have, of course, meridian massage, so you can also massage along the meridian. And of course, we have very modern means, and that's the meridian module in the HealAdvisor Analyse app. And this is, of course, a very modern way to use the meridian knowledge and the ancient Asian knowledge, of course, and basically make it usable for everyone based on Healy technology or using Healy technology. So what is this Meridian module all about? It's of course a simple mean to analyze and harmonize the coherence of your meridians in the information feed. So you can use it for yourself, you can use it for other people. And so the first thing you basically do, and we will see it more in detail later, you analyze the coherence of the 12 meridians in the information feed. And then it shows you the functional circuits that are out of balance, basically. And in which direction they are also trending. Are they more in a chaotic way or are they more in a rigidity way? So hypoactive or hypoactive. So there's 3 states: hypoactive, which is not so active; coherent, which is in the basically ideal space; and hyperactive, which is too active. So how does it actually work? So for the meridians with the lowest coherence, you can basically analyze the most relevant acupuncture points. So you first analyze the meridian coherence, so which meridian is the most incoherent. And for this most incoherent, you analyze 2 acupuncture points that are the most relevant, and then you perform a deeper analysis. So the positive information that you then get from the special databases that we will see later is then applied to harmonize the information field. And of course, additionally in this module, we also analyze the Healy and Healy Meridian programs that are most suitable for promoting coherence. So let's dive into a practical example. So step 1 is you analyze the coherence of the meridians. as we already had. And on the right side, you can see that in this case, the stomach meridian, I mean, it's very, very small, but maybe you can read it. The stomach meridian, the right one also, we have left and right, of course, is hyperactive, so too active. And of course, they are ordered also in their relevance. So the more incoherent the meridian is, the higher in the list it is displayed. And of course, you also have the possibility, if you press on by clock, to have the order by the organ clock, which is especially interesting for people that are more experienced in the organ clock and all the, let's say, meaning behind it. Because, of course, every organ has a certain time at the day where it's quite or more active than the rest of the day. And of course, if you see all the incoherences and all the, let's say, meridians and organs at the end of the day that they stand for in a certain order, you of course get a very good picture of the overall state of someone. So step 2 is select or write your focus text. So we have predefined some focus text. You can also write your focus text. And now the big question always is how to do that. So how do I write that focus text? And there are a few very simple rules. So first of all, you formulate it in a positive way. So no negative things, no negative words, also no negations. So very positive, straightforward, easy focus. So it should also be formulated in the present, and it should describe a future state that you actually desire to have. So I want something in the future, and how would I describe this if it would already have happened, or if it would be already reality? And that's how you basically formulate a focus text. And the more accurate, of course, your focus is, the better your results are usually. So the database analysis, because what do you get? You basically get the answer to how do I get to my focus? So how do I get to this future state that I want to achieve? In our example, I chose I feel relaxed and full of energy, which is always good. Now in the step 3, you imagine you already reached this positive state. So you can close your eyes and think about, okay, if this would be already reality, I'm relaxed, I'm full of energy. Now you feel actually how it feels in your whole body, how your mood changes to a positive mood. And then you feel gratitude for this new state. So yeah, I'm really thankful that this will happen very soon. And now you're focusing, and that's a trick that I have from a doctor that is using time-waver analysis or time-waver devices for a long, long time. And he said, okay, to not get biased in your focus, you always think, I just want to get the optimal result for me or for my client. And then you start the analysis. So now there are, of course, 5 Meridian databases in the Meridian module. So those are the 5 strongest that we found. And we said, okay, let's use those. So we have Meridian blockages, Meridian emotional connections, affirmations for meridians, strengthening the meridians, and psychological backgrounds. And in the final step, we analyze which of the Healy and McHealy meridian programs have the most resonance or are resonating the highest. And of course, we don't analyze all meridian programs, so the 10 of the Healy or the 20 of the Healy and the 10, 12 of the McHealy. but only those that are connected to the meridian that we are analyzing. So the meridian with the highest incoherence. And this is especially important because there are only a few programs that are fitting to certain meridians. So what you see then in the analyze results is you see the name of the acupuncture point, then you see the topic of the acupuncture point, which is usually negative. So difficulty in choosing between my individuality and that of the group. So this is usually negative, but this is just what the acupuncture point stands for. This is not sent in the analysis, and this is always the same. This is not changing because this is basically the background information to the meridian acupuncture point. And then you have the desired state and the desired state description. So this is basically from the databases that we are using. So the database analyzes results. So each database entry is basically analyzed for the relevance, so how important something is for you at the moment of analysis. Then you have a positive relevance, which is conscious topics, and you have negative relevances, so minus 98 or something, which is unconscious topics, so that are not so present in your consciousness. And then you have the intensity, which is from 1 to 10. And this is how confrontational you are towards this topic, which means, so if someone tells you this, it's like, okay, yeah, that's true. That's something I should work on. And sometimes it's like, yeah, no, that has nothing to do with me. But if you ask then your wife or your partner, then he or she always tells you, maybe you need to look a little deeper. Maybe that is exactly your problem. But it's not, you're not, you're not really want to talk about it. And then you have the potency, which whether the topic is in the foreground or more in the background. So if the potency is low, like D6 or something, then it's like, okay, this is something I can identify with. This is something that already manifested. So I feel it in my body. I feel it in my emotions. And sometimes you have a very high potency and it's like, yeah, poof, I don't really have this. But if I go deeper, if I think about it longer, it's like, yeah, there is something. And that's more in the background. Now we start with the first database, which is a very powerful database, and it's the database of psychological backgrounds from Antonie Pepler. And she was a real white witch, as you might call it. So she had a huge gift in actually getting the right information for every homeopathic remedy that she had. So the psychological background of those remedies. So what is the connected emotional psychological issue? And best is if you have such a result, you read the stress pattern carefully. And the stress pattern is after or at the end of the desired state, basically. And in this case, it's basic renunciation of one's needs. That's the stress pattern. That's the most important part if you read this entry. All the other things are, let's say, quite generic. Of course, the name of the homeopathic remedy, but the stress pattern is for your own reflection the most important. And the best is you read it, and if it resonates with you, you try to remember the last time you experienced something similar. So you close your eyes and remember, okay, when did this happen? When did I basically, or when was I not able to follow my own needs? Where did I say, yeah, I need this, but no, something else is more important. So you mentally return to this situation, which is usually in your childhood. And then you tell your inner child, that's not needed anymore. You can do different. You are now an adult. You can take your own decisions. No one can pressure you to do something except yourself. So you always have a choice. And you can tell your child, your inner child, that it is free from this day onwards, from this stress pattern. And now you can sense how wonderful it feels to gain this new freedom. So to feel how this energy in this meridian is able to flow freely again. So really try to remember when this happened and get in contact with your inner child. Now the next database is also quite powerful, and it's affirmations for the respective meridian. So, and there's always, it's not a bunch of affirmations for the meridian modules, but every meridian has a certain kind of affirmations that is related to this meridian and all emotions and organs and everything that's connected to this meridian. So you consciously read through the affirmation, and if you find it especially applicable, so if you say, oh, wow, that's really something I should work on, or that's really something I need. In this case, I choose love and compassion over hate and resentment, which is always a good thing. And if you think this is really relevant for you, then use a piece of paper, write it down, and then integrate it in your daily rhythm. So, for example, you place it next to your toothbrush. So every time you brush your teeth, you recite this affirmation in your mind, or you can also say it out loud before you brush your teeth, after you brush your teeth. And you should continue this 1 to 2 weeks and simply feel the transformation of this positive affirmation. Then you have strengthening the meridian, which is also nice because these are very simple exercises you can integrate into your morning routine. So I do things usually in my morning routine before I brush my teeth, simply because I always will brush my teeth because that's something I always do. And if you do something before that, you will for sure do that. Because after I brush my teeth, I start working usually, and then I have no time to do anything but what I'm focused on. So if you think this exercise is good for you, if you like the exercise, continue it for 1 or 2 weeks. And those are really simple exercises. And now a database by Sabine Weber. And she's another, or was another white witch. Unfortunately, she died a few years ago. But yeah, she brought a lot of light into this world. And here we read the last part again of the desired state entry. And this is, I can accept challenges, I can process new impressions, which is quite helpful because usually you are overwhelmed immediately if there's too many things, and you unconsciously or consciously block those new things. You think, that's too much, I cannot do it, and so on. But if you accept this as a challenge and you simply be open to be able to process it, usually you can do it. And the best thing is, of course, you close your eyes and visualize that this is already the case. So you already are able to accept those challenges, and you are already able to process those new impressions. You just imagine, okay, I can already do it. And then you sense how it feels. And usually it feels quite good. And last but not least, meridian emotional connections. So you should consciously look deeper emotions. So if you read here the desire state, basic protection of the stomach meridian through gentle, proper, and time-appropriate transformation of disappointment. And disappointment, again, is the most important word here. So you should find out where this comes from. So where is this disappointment happening? When are you disappointed? What is this disappointment actually meaning? And if you find out where this disappointment is, you try to actually transform it. So imagine there's no disappointment, but you actually would transform it and give basically the energy back to your blocked meridian. And if you don't know what this disappointment is about, the best is to actually ask other people about this, because you usually have some blind spots for yourself, but other people usually exactly see where the issue is. So you simply ask people, okay, what is about this disappointment? Where do I look disappointed? And then they will reflect or tell you exactly where to look at. Now, further entries are always important. So this is basically for every kind of database, what I showed you, what you can do with the certain information. You always have more than one entry for every database. So you can, of course, do this for every entry. But you should only consider as many as your intuition tells you that are really appropriate. So it's not about mechanically going through every entry. It's about actually feeling if this entry is really relevant for you and then to go deeper. Because the quality of the feeling when you experience basically whatever routine I showed you with the certain entry, that's much more important than if you do all of them. So you should really look at how do I feel when I look at it. And then if you think, okay, it's important, then you go deeper. Then you have the Meridian program analysis. And there, of course, the most important is on top. And this is the highest resonance, basically, which you also should use. So not all of them, just one of them. Now, the duration of the application, that's often a question. How long should I basically do the harmonization? And for acute topics, so something that recently came up, you should use it at least once a day, about 1 minute, up to 8 times a day. And the Healy and Healy programs, you should use one of those programs once a day and every day except Sunday. And after 1 week, you usually should perform a new analysis to see what's now important for you. And for chronic topics, so things that are there for longer time, you should at least once a day do an harmonization, but now for 3 minutes and only up to 3 times a day. Same for the Healy and McKeely program, 1 every day except Sunday. And you should do this for 2 weeks usually. But if, of course, something else arises, a new situation, something acute comes up, then, of course, you should perform a new analysis. So you should always listen to your intuition when it is time to basically do a new analysis. Some practical tips. So when you're using visualizations, you should free yourself from the concept of guilt, because this usually is blocking that you can dissolve old disappointments, old traumata. Because you should always be aware that everyone has his or her reasons for doing something. So best example is a mother. If a mother is overwhelmed with the stress, and every mother knows this, if you have a newborn child, or if you have a newborn child and an older child, you usually are overwhelmed with all the things that come up, because children always demand a lot of attention, a lot of energy. And at one point, you run out of energy, and then you get stressed. And this stress reflects to your children. But it's not because you as a mother would not love your children, it's because you are out of energy. You have no patience anymore. And this is not something negative, it's just you cannot do more. And this is true for so many things. People have a few milliseconds to decide what they do. And usually there are a lot of different possibilities what you can do. There are almost endless possibilities how you can react to something. But in this moment that you react, this is the best version that you think is possible for you now. And usually it is definitely not the best version, but that's all you can do. And that's why, yeah, that's the case because we're humans. So we have just a limited capacity. So if you understand this, then you can free yourself of the concept of guilt, because you know people don't do that or did things to hurt you on purpose because they're bad people, because they didn't have a better way to do it in this situation. And if you understand consciously and emotionally that this is the case, then you can forgive those persons that hurt you from the bottom of your heart. You can really forgive them. And this forgiveness frees your own energy. Because if you hate someone, if you are unhappy with someone, this blocks a lot of your energy. It catches your energy and keeps it there. And it drains energy all the time. If you are able to forgive this person, because everyone is just a human, then you can free this energy. And you can, of course, then transform whatever you have experienced in something positive. Because everything that you experienced in your life, everything that happened to you, made you to this wonderful person that you are now. So be thankful for whatever you experienced, negative and positive. Then a very, very technical tip. So for more information about the meridians, you can use the description by tapping on the respective meridian card. And of course, I think I already mentioned it, only positive information patterns are sent when you do the harmonization in the information field. All the negative things like the current state or the description of the meridian or the acupuncture point in our case are not sent. And there's only one thing left for me to do, and this is wishing you good luck on your path to a life full of energy and in unity with your inner wisdom. Thank you.